Hello, I'm Recoded Zaphod, and this is a tutorial for a compact storage system. You can see it just behind me. Every slot is filled with a chest in the main storage system, and then there's a whole load of sorting system redstone on the back. So first I'm going to show you how it works, and then I'm going to build a couple of rows of it so you can see how it connects together. So you put all your items in chests, so you need one in every slot. I imagine lots of you have seen sorting systems like this before. So you can actually split chests between different items, and it'll still fill up because the item filter is in the chest itself, in these slots, rather than being in the hoppers at the back. There have been some designs similar to this in the past. One in particular I should mention, because they've used some of the same techniques I have, is one by JL2579. I will link his vid in the description. But that was a much older version, and one of the problems with the old ones is you would have a line of trap chest next to your normal chests, which means you couldn't open them while the system was in use, because it would lock the hopper behind them. So now we can put all the chests, normal chests, next to each other. We can get a compact storage system like this, where opening the chests isn't going to break anything redstone-wise at the back. Alright, so I'm just going to show you how this works. So you can see the first chest, I've got some redstone, and the next one I've got some droppers and some pistons. So I'm just going to drop down to this input chest, just here, and put some redstone in. Then I don't have any hoppers or pistons, so I'm just gonna grab something here. It's important to leave one item in every slot, otherwise they will push random items into the gaps left behind, because the hoppers down here are just trying to push into every chest in turn. So there we go, we've got some redstone there. Let's put some hoppers in, and some pistons. Right, so I'm going to turn on the clock. So I've got a separate switch for this, because unfortunately it's not completely silent, so you can hear these droppers back here clicking as they try and dispense items into the water at the back. I've been using water elevators for this because they're much faster than dropper elevators, particularly with the clock speed we've got here. So we would either have to build a separate clock or run it on a slower clock speed. That is one of the drawbacks of this. It does run on quite a slow clock speed here, and I'll explain why that is later when I get into the building redstone. So still got the item in there. I can just unlock the hopper behind this chest, switch here, so you control when things are going in and not. So see, they're all dropping down, going into this hopper chain here, and being picked out by this dropper into this water tube, going up the top and around. The water tubes are offset every other tube, just because being right next to each other. If not, it will just all join into one long tube. So that one's up there, and this one's down here. And then if you're looking down at the back, you can see they come to slightly different heights. So if you go and have a look here, you should be able to see that the redstone there is making its way into the first chest, and then the droppers and pistons are making their way into the next one. Of course, it might be you don't want as many chests as this, because this is a lot of storage, so you might only want a couple of rows to start with, and then you can always add to it later on as you get more items during the game. So at the moment I've filled with dummy items once down here, so if I put in an item which isn't in one of these chests, it should make its way to this chest out here, just to show it can loop around the floor. Quick look. So, not all the redstone there yet, it's all the droppers and all the pistons. See them clicking in, and there should be one more. There we go. And then that's all the items in. You won't always know when the last item drops in because you won't know what it is, but you can always put in one item which goes in after everything else is left, or you can just leave it running longer than it needs to. So if I put in some items like torches, which don't have a slot in any of these chests, they can make their way all the way around through a couple of these, and then over multiple times, and into the fourth one I've left empty. So hopefully we should see that happening. So it should be coming around about now. Yeah, you can see them dropping around here. And we're going through the second one as well, I believe. Yeah, and this one coming through the third. See what's there, come through. Something in here. So if we look in this fourth one here, you can see the torches start coming in here. Right, so I think that's enough demonstration of how it works, and now I'm going to get on to building it. So, to start with, you're going to want to put your chests down. Put one there, and then to get it to come sideways, you need to shift click it onto the side. So I'm going to do 4 in a row here, and you can make this as tall as you like. 6 seems to be a good number because then you can easily access all of your chests from a single point. You might want it higher, you might want it lower, depending on your space constraints. So that's really up to you. I'm going to do 6 high as well here. So once you've got all the chests there, you then want to come around to just behind them and start putting in the hoppers. So you want a hopper going into each of the chests. They need to be pointing into them. So in full grid pattern. So this is where the items are going to come down and actually get sorted into the chests. Oh, that one has not gone on properly. I'm just gonna, there we go. And then you've got your double chests of storage on each of them. Oh, I have got a texture pack on the hoppers which shows which way they're pointing. And then above this line, you're going to want to line the hoppers, but importantly they need to point outwards. So you might want to put some temporary blocks in to point them into. So pointing that way, and then these blocks can disappear. And you've got 2 more above them. These can point straight down. So these are just collecting from the water streams and putting them into this top one here. Right. So then we've got to start doing the actual system for powering the hoppers in turn. So you're going to want sort of grid pattern of blocks here on the back of all of these, including these ones up here. So you start grid, every other one here, and every other one there. Let's do that. So then you want to put comparators on all of these. These ones at the top don't need them, but each of these does. So these are going to be the way of powering the hoppers in the gaps, and then we're going to power the blocks to lock the hoppers which are next to the blocks. Okay, so at this point you have a choice whether you want to keep building back or whether you want to do the bit beneath. It's probably easier to do the bit beneath right now. So each of these needs to have a dropper beneath it, and I'm going to start this one. So droppers, as you can see on this one, should be 2 back from the hoppers there, and if you start high, as I've done, you can do it the same way I've done it, or if you start low, you'll just have to mirror it. So want to come, that's where the droppers are, 1, 2, and then I'm going to put it just there. Right. You may find it easier if you just do a line across like that. You can put them on. So the next one's going to be down there. And then, yeah, every other block. Like that. I've only got the 4, so I only actually need 4 here. Right. And then you want to be running the hoppers into the back of them. So each of them needs a hopper going directly into them. And then because the items coming down want to go across one, you want all of the hoppers to be fed in from the side. So this is where it's really useful to be able to see which way all the hoppers are pointing. So if you look here, going into the side and then into the droppers. Okay, and then these can come back here. Okay, there and there. And then, so this one here is going to come from the initial input chest. So wherever you want to be putting that, whether you want it directly on top of this, you can have it sticking out, you can have it directly in next to this, or you can move it across a bit. Doesn't really matter, just needs to feed into this one here. Then the next hopper wants to come straight down into this one. Need those. You can remove these temporary blocks from underneath the chests. Not going to need them right now. So that one's being fed into there. And this one's also being fed down from there. Right, and then these last set of hoppers, they're also going to need to be in the system at the top, because they need to be locked so things can get pushed into the bottom chests. Right, so put that in there, and that in there. Right, and then that hopper's going to need to be locked, so you want a block here, block there, to power those. So the next step is to put droppers in front of each of these comparators. So you want to just be clicking on the side. Ooh, you have to be careful to get it on the side, and be careful not to accidentally switch the comparator to subtract mode. Right, so you want that on all of these, like this. So then you're going to want to put a repeater on top of all of these, except these very top ones. They're not going to need it because you're not locking these hoppers right on the top. So the others, put a repeater just on top of them. So now you've got repeaters on. You then want to put a hopper facing into each of the droppers. So just like that. Make sure they're facing into them. So you want to be clicking on the face as you do them until you've got all of them in. Once you've got all of them in, like this, you need to put a single item into each of them. Right? So you might want to just do it like this. I find this is the easiest way to do this. You can just shift click, and then you can see that one's gone from your inventory. Obviously in survival you'll be able to just count it out, but you need to make sure every single hopper has one in. It's going to immediately pop it into the dropper just behind it. That's fine, that's what you want, but they all need to be full. So now the hoppers have an item in, and then what you want to do is put a repeater on top of all of the hoppers, feeding into the other repeater. Be careful at this point if you break anything, if you put something wrong, because they can drop into the hoppers, and then you end up with 2 items in these, and then that will mess up the system when an item tries to go past, because it will permanently lock the hopper out the front of it. Right, so once you've got all of those on, you're going to want to start building up behind it. So you're going to want, again, a grid pattern, as you can see over here, with redstone torches every other one. So it's best to put the blocks behind the repeaters, and then you can put the redstone torches in between. We'll just get the blocks in, so it should end up looking like this. So you've got effectively 2 torch towers next to each other, and then every other layer should be on, and the redstone torches are directly behind the hoppers. Make sure you've come all the way down here, so you've got your repeaters going into the blocks at the ones below the chest level, because they still need to be locked. So you might need to put some blocks in just here. Your choice of what they are. I'm just sticking to stone to keep everything simple. Right, so then you're going to need to put your way of powering these blocks in. You can see here, just simple redstone line and powering in here. You need to work around where you're putting these water streams. So it might be worth building up the water streams at this point. Make sure they're long enough, because this is as far as this main block is going to come out, and you've got these 2 blocks. So you can start putting in your water streams. Glass. You'll be putting this across. So these ones are double high, because you're going to end up with water flowing along the top here, as well as through these middle parts just here. So then you're going to want to put in a redstone torch just in here before you finish putting in the whole of these water stream sides, and that's so we can power these droppers from behind. So also, if you have some blocks, it doesn't matter what these blocks are, you're going to want some repeaters just here, and you're going to be putting them in like this on every other block. So that's how we're going to power these droppers here. They're going to be powered off the same clock that powers the rest of this, so they're going to spit out the items at the same rate that the items go through this system. So then if we want to carry on with the channels for the water, and then we're going to want water on that block just there, that block just there. Ooh, it's flowing out here. And then you're going to want soul sand right at the end, so you can see here the higher ones stop slightly early. That's so they can go up first, and then the other ones to wrap around those. So these higher ones, they need to have a sign just on this block, so it's just here. Right, so if you look here, 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks of glass, and then you've got the block which has a sign, and then under that sign you're going to want some ice. This is so that when the items come across, they fly across this ice and onto the soul sand and don't get stuck just sort of sitting here. It's best to use compressed ice, because then light isn't going to melt it and flood the rest of the system and mess everything up. Right, so you then want to do that on all of these, and then you're going to want to build towers up here. So building up the sides, like that, and then this side is also a side to this, and these are also sides to this one here. Right, we've got them like that. You can see the gaps where the soul sands are. Then you want to build them up so that they're at the same height as the top of here. So once you've built the tubes up, you're going to need to fill them with water. So just want to go down to the bottom of each of the tubes and put a source block here, there. And it's important that we use our source blocks. So you see that I've missed a block, so now it's past it. So again, in survival mode, a bit more tricky to do. There's a kelp trick, or you can keep dropping in and keep refilling it with water, but you might need to have an inventory full of buckets to do that. So you want to do that with all 4 of these all the way up to this height. So once you've filled these up, then you want to build the tubes across this way. So these ones actually want to be at this block down here. Just turn them into a channel there. And then you will break this block, or let the water out, which will be pushing all the way along this way. So then we do the same over here. So on the channel. From here. We're going to this block, spread it out, and these ones are coming up higher. So this needs to be blocked at the top of these. That's also going to stop the items from flying out of here and getting stuck around the top. So you're also going to want to make sure that these are capped as well. Here, channel. Out. And then we want a water source back there. That should stop 1 block short, so you're just going to break this block and put in some ice. There we go, like that, and then the item should shoot across the top into these ones. And then the ones below, you want it to run straight into a hopper, so you don't want these up here. That one, and ideally you don't want it running into a hopper next to the other hoppers, because then it's got a chance of getting stuck underneath, because there is now actually a gap just there under the hopper which won't get picked up by the other hoppers. Let's pick that back up. So yeah, items can actually sit there, so you actually want a hopper inside there. I'm just going to break this one so I can get in. Temporarily block off the water here. You don't want the water running down there and breaking all the redstone. And then grab a hopper and put it in that way. There we go. Run straight to there. And do the same on this side. Water. Grab the hopper. And run it in there. Break that one. Just run it straight in there. It's best to block it off on the other side. You can see it's just all capped off because we don't want items coming out. Right, so that's pretty much it for the water elevator. Then you need to be feeding your power into these blocks here. Right, so if you do something like that, you need to be really careful that things that fall off don't end up in the hoppers. I think this one, nope, that's right. So it might be at this point that you need to change some of this glass into stone if you've been using glass. I much prefer to use glass because then it means that I can see things going through, so if there's a whole load of items getting stuck somewhere, or an issue like that, I can immediately see it from outside and come in and fix it. So what's going on here? Okay, so I see what's going on. Blocked off on the bottom one. Sign, and blocked off there. Right, there we go. How it should be. Okay, so we want repeaters going into each of these, and then just run a line of redstone along the back. If you've got a really long array of chests, you might need to turn some of this redstone here into repeaters, just to extend the pulse out. That's fine, it'll just add a little bit of delay between there and the next one, which isn't an issue. It will be an issue if it doesn't reach all the way across, because then some of the hoppers remain locked. Right, and then this side, I need to run it down into a clock. Right. And also want to be feeding a redstone line into there. So activate the droppers when they put items in to push out into the water streams. So I'm going to make a simple block here. So we're going to have 3 of these repeaters, 2 of them on 4 ticks and 1 on 2. Sometimes it seems to work with just 8 ticks of delay, but sometimes it seems to skip chests with 8, so putting it on 10, so far that seemed like a safe bet. The main issue is that because the pulse takes a while to travel up this, it can mean that if you've got a fast pulse, you don't have enough time with the hoppers unlocked for them to try and push out before the hopper beneath them then unlocks, because that happens first. So sometimes chests get skipped if you've got a short pulse, which is why it's got such a long pulse here, which is one of the drawbacks of this system. But if you want compact storage where the chests fill every slot, then I can't see any way around it other than using quite a bit of delay. Right, so this up. Go, and then torch out here, there and there, and then here. Right, so you can see that this pulses now. There's a pulse on, turns the torch off, which is the thing powering it. You hear the droppers are now printing. Right. You can add things like a lock to your input chest by putting a lever on the block next to it, just here. So that locks that hopper and can't take any more items. Equally, you can depower this by just putting an input into this block here, and it will stop it all going. So now the whole system should be working. So if we put something in here, so if we take some stone, put in that, and then it'll either fill the first empty chest, or if there's items of its kind in the chest, because there's the first item coming in there, it'll start filling that. So they fill the other half of this chest with hoppers. And then we should see any other items going into the next chest. So if we put some compressed ice in, we should see that eventually this makes its way out of this chest. So that should be an entire working system now. See, it fills up the last chest, go in, go down, drop into the next slot. Got these pulsing onto the droppers. And then, if you want to have an output overall, you can put in a dropper on the end here. So you just there, and you can always power that from this as well, and have it come up into a chest, or run up a torch tower and power 2 of them and have them into an output chest, which you can use for overflow items and items which don't stack, and items which the system has managed to miss. Sometimes if there's on a server, you can get a lag spike and it will jump the hopper to the chest that it's meant to go into. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to check out this world. I'll leave a download in the description just down below. I've been Recoded SafeOdd. Thanks for watching.